before I start, I'd just like to point out that both your presentations looked just amazing. Like, I've been to a few of these, and in my experience, the presentation in terms of aesthetics has not been up to par. You're making me feel very self-conscious. Okay, so really quick intro for myself. As Pete said, I'm Kojo Hinson. I work for Wealth Wizards. I'm actually a full-stack web developer, so I do mainly traditional web application development. I'm pretty spread out in terms of the things I do, kind of general trades around, definitely. But I love AI and machine learning and any chance I get to apply maths to programming makes me happy, because I actually studied maths and physics at uni. Computer science was I'm probably in the wrong job, but somehow I made it. Yeah, actually, that's the point of this talk. I'm not. Okay, so understanding the natural and natural language processing. I myself, I'm not entirely sure what that means, but hopefully we'll all find out by the end of this talk. So quickly, before I start, a few disclaimers, kind of continuation of what I just said. But I do not know much about natural language processing or machine learning. These are vast interests of mine, and I started about 2 years ago. I started with Andrew's famous machine learning course on Coursera, and I've been hooked ever since, but I still have a mountain to climb in terms of all the subdisciplines, different applications, and all the different things that actually come with building useful and meaningful and enjoyable applications. I think a common theme that we've heard is there's much more than just AI to this, like data cleansing, pre-processing, analysis, training. All these different elements are all topics in themselves. So disclaimer is very important. Second one, if you have any questions, any corrections because there might be some, I'm warn you now, or any clarifications that you'd like me to do, this is collaborative effort, so please feel free to get involved. I won't be offended if you don't, but I'm giving you the option. So, let's start with a fun little exercise. Who would like to define natural language processing? There's no right answer, I mean. No? No takers? Go for it.
Why don't you go, Sean?
Yeah, you sure?
Go for it.
I don't have any sweets or anything, so.
Natural language processing, i.e. a computer coming up with the same meaning of phrase or sentence or some sort of language as a human being would.
Okay, so I'll give you, if I did have sweets, you would get one. So that's pretty good. Do you want to go ahead?
No, I was going to say, I think the natural means, natural is quite key, so there's probably a big difference between understanding the way someone talks, for example, is very natural and informal, versus understanding what's written in a book.
Okay, so the point I want to illustrate is, well, we'll look at a few more distinctions first. It's, so this long website I'm not going to say is the ability of a computer program to understand a language. Quite similar to your definition, right? Let's look at a few more. Wikipedia, the Bible of all knowledge. So, quick summary, concerned with the interactions between computers and human natural language. Again, I think there is a common theme about it's kind of like bridging the gap between machine and humans, having that ability to interface the communication between the two. And one last one, because I don't know why not. The automatic manipulation of natural language, like speech and text by software. Okay, so the reason I did this was I could end the talk at this slide. We have a weird way of doing things that is very different to machines. So defining things. If you ask a machine, what is the value of X? It will always, it's deterministic. It always gives you one answer every single time. Human way of processing information is incredibly complicated and non-deterministic. It's not even just that we vary in the way we define things. If I ask you that question in an hour, you'll give me a different answer. If I ask you in a day, you'll give me a different answer. We have this incredibly complicated process of reasoning, which is incredibly removed from the logic and the machine operations that we program our computer with and we construct our programs with. So there's this quest for bridging that communication gap that I think is key. And I think is a common theme in all these things about how do we sort of bridge that communication gap between
None of those definitions deal with the chronological aspect you just mentioned.
Exactly. And I'm on scratching the surface. There's all, let's not get too far. Anyway, so how does the research landscape currently look? So I'm going to do a really quick overview here because I've only got 15 minutes and I'm not an expert, and all these topics deserve far more attention than I'm willing to give them. But I think it's kind of useful to get perspective on from a high level because I'm trying to sort of build the ground up knowledge. So from my perspective, and I'll I might be wrong. There's kind of three main aspects, at least that interest me. I'll say that that's more safe. So for me, there's one aspect that I would define, and this is my personal definition, my human definition, is identifying or estimating semantic value in some data entity. Let that data entity be some natural language assertion. For example, the ball is blue. So how do we estimate what that means in terms of the machine? I think that's kind of, if you look at things like, oh, I don't have presented the okay. So things like semantic analysis, entity extraction, there's a few sub-disciplines we kind of deal with this in my opinion. We're just kind of mapping what is the truth of this language assertion.
That's almost pseudo code already.
It is.
If I flip ball equals blue.
You're predicting some of my scientists. Okay, so pseudocode. Jason. There's a bit of Jason here. JavaScript object notation.
Yeah.
So, for example, this would be a mapping of natural language to a machine operation equivalent of what the definition of the ball blue is. And that's kind of what this is. Entity extraction, if you use Google API, they kind of have these tools that allow you to extract certain values and represent them in ways that machines can understand, such as this, for example. There'll probably be a probability value assigned to it, and that is kind of, for me, the key of this talk. We'll talk about probability a lot. Well, not that much. Another bit that is, I think, a lot of the texts I've read don't do a good job of explaining things like this, and it's that sentences don't have just one dimension of representing information. So you have the truth contained in the words. So the ball is blue, that means you have this entity called a ball that has this property called blue. But in sentences, we have this weird other hidden dimension of data, and that comes within the structure of the sentence itself. So the structure of the sentence itself is data. That's something that took me a really long time to understand. You guys might be smarter than me and have figured this out, but I just over the last few months, as I was playing around with parsing, which is essentially what this is, understanding the information contained within the structure of the sentence rather than the individual components, I realized, wow, language is the most complicated data structure known to man. It's beyond anything that I've had to do, and I'm a physicist. I'd like to think I'm smart, but I've been humbled recently. So just a quick example of what the actual parse representation of that sentence is. I entered it in Stanford Parser. They have a tool online that you can enter sentences in, and it will give you the sort of tree structure of what that means. So a lot of these things are, don't worry too much about them, and I'm not going to explain to you, but they're essentially the kind of grammatical structure or grammatical information contained within that sentence. So you have things like S, which stands for subject, and P, I think, is noun pronoun. Is anyone correct me here? Yeah. So it kind of gives you the ability to represent the information contained due to the structure of the sentence, not just the words themselves. You can even see subject is the quote, it's not the word. It has this ability to sort of communicate that. And this is another dimension of the data that I think is really crucial to understand that words have this weird property, or language in general. And finally, I love this example because I recently constructed a chatbot and I had this problem a lot where it's not really chat, essentially, as you just, the point that you just made, it's kind of an interface which mimics the format of conversation but doesn't truly understand the conversation itself. And this is kind of what this is, the Slack bot where you've asked it his first name, but doesn't understand that first name isn't actually first name. But this is another kind of area of NLP for me. It's kind of the ability to construct information from ambiguous context. That's a really worded definition. I don't know how else to communicate that. There's this sort of communication protocol that we humans have, which, again, is kind of another dimension of semantic value. So it's another way of communicating information. You have this ability to reference things in the past, but also reference things that we've learned. And conversation is this an entirely new, complicated thing that has this weird property of giving us the ability to understand each other. But yeah, so 3 aspects that I think are useful to understand for NLP research. I'm not sure if you're going to answer that question yet. So let's start with humans. How do we understand stuff? So I'm going to break it down. I'm a physicist, I like science, so there is science here, more of you, but I'm pretty sure we'll like comfortable. So humans have this object called the mouth and tonsils and all these organs and muscles. We vibrate them due to our brain or something, I'm not quite sure. That vibration is propagated through air particles in the air, and air particles moving are actually just sound waves or waves of some sort. They have properties called frequency, amplitude, etc., etc. So that can be numerically represented. That is also propagated to the other end, the ear. There's, I think, an eardrum or something. I'm not a biology expert, but I'm pretty sure that gets converted to some very complicated neuroelectric chemical impulse, which goes to the brain. That's probably not what it actually looks like, to say that, but that's the closest I can get from Google Images. So that's the neurochemical impulse representation. That's speech, which are converted to sound, which are converted to kinetic energy, which is converted to neurochemicals. Cool, okay. Whew, okay, so we're good so far. There's a really weird thing that happens though, that doesn't really have a physical equivalent, and that's experience or learning or understanding. It definitely has an algorithmic representation, but it's very hard to talk about in terms of particles and all these things that are a little bit more tangible in terms of physics, right? So the way I look at it, and this is very oversimplified, please forgive me, but I don't have that much time. We have this experience algorithm, right? We see stuff or observe stuff that goes into our brain, as I just explained. And this is kind of how the algorithm works. When we observe stuff, we merge that. Kind of a weird word to describe when we're talking about experience, but I'm a developer, so I like merge. Merge observation into our perception model, then that adjusts this sort of representation of reality that we have, and we use that perception of reality to make future decisions. Okay, cool. I can just about get on with that. We'll try and break that down a little bit further. So, I think the important thing to know is, at the end of the day, all these things can be numerically represented, right? All these things are actually representations of reality that can be mapped into different contexts and can be represented in a way that we can do machine-like operations on. Maybe not machine operations, but machine-like operations, right? So, as I said, that's kind of a green hash of the previous slide. This is a metaphor which is a bit of a gamble, depending on your understanding of quantum mechanics. Quick show of hands. Does anyone feel comfortable with quantum mechanics as just as a concept? Like, do you? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Just in case though, let's just say that it's the representation of reality instead of like particles and atoms, which I'm sure we all familiar with. I hope so anyway. This is kind of a wave-like description of reality. So instead of having an atom being at this point in space, it could be this ambiguous, weird thing that could exist in a bunch of places. Then when we observe it, we'll make an observational, experimental thing on it. Then it becomes this discrete thing. The point to take is that it's weird. If you don't understand what I just said, that's fine. Let's just say it's weird. And this is why, for me, this is an incredibly good metaphor for language, because I find language very weird as a mathematician that loves determinism and precision, which language is definitely. So, okay, so we've got our experience algorithm. I want to make an AI program that uses that algorithm. So we have our numerical representation of reality, as it just described. That's that blue, like, for example, the blue ball. That you can just think of that as some weird numerical thing for the mathematicians here. Let's just call it a vector. And we're going to make an assertion based on that. Okay, cool. So I've solved AI. Great. Does anyone find a flaw in this program? There are many flaws, but I think there's one that I want to focus on. I want to see if anyone can straight away analyze that. Anyone? Is there any problem with this sort of program for reality?
Like you've got a Boolean in there,
yeah,
and it's probability.
So I'll just go home now because you've kind of ruined it.
You asked.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I'm underestimating your intelligence. So this is not how reality works, right? And we've already discovered that. When I asked you to define language, there wasn't one thing. And this is how machines think. Machines are a bit dumb, a lot dumber than we are, which is weird because, to be honest, we're not that smart. So this kind of machine-based logic, this deterministic x equals y, doesn't work when it comes to language, right? And the reason why, for me, the classical to quantum metaphor works very well with NLP is that, okay, so I think that's a little bit better version of the program. Did anyone just see what I just did then? You probably missed it. Oh no, somebody saw it. Okay, I thought they wanted to see that. But turn the equal into a sort of equals. Okay? So I have really solved it out now. But anyone who's familiar with programming will know that that's not a real operator. And even if it was, it would work only with really dumb data, just numeric data where you could sort of do sort of low-level X sort is within this range of another number. But for something like a picture, where even if it has a numerical representation, dimensions of the data expands anything that our low-level machine operations can handle, right? So we need something else, a little bit smarter, a little bit more clever. So this is why, for me, I see so much beauty and so much power in a lot of the tools that have been developed to deal with this ambiguity recently. And a common theme that we've talked about is probability and Bayes learning, even deep learning to some extent, like stochastic gradient descent. All these principles kind of employ the power of mathematics to get us with generalization, which is essentially what this is, right? So I think this graph kind of illustrates the point I'm trying to make. So if you have a piece of data, if you have an application with only very dumb data, let's say, for example, we have a calculator where you have a bunch of numbers. So the data is very simple in terms of the ways it can be represented, right? There's only one way you can sort of represent a vector or a number. But if you want to do something a bit more complicated, like an application form, you might have dates, you might have numbers as well, you might have a bit of calculation logic, but also you might want to compare string values against each other. So yeah, okay, that's fine. We're on track. The ways that data can be represented, it kind of expands a little bit more. So you have a bit more complexity to deal with. So building an application that is able to process that data variety, plurality, or all the different ways you could define that, even in this talk, makes that a lot more difficult, right? So you keep going, you have things like financial market data, which is even more plural, even more vast, and a bit more less structured. And this is where you start to see classic programming start to fall apart, right? So on the left, I've drawn this completely made up line of what machine learning would look like in comparison to classic deterministic programming, right? So that early stage is all about data training and training your model, tuning it, data processing, all of these really time-consuming activities. But once you get to a certain point, that complexity starts to give in to your actual model, right? So if you get to the point where you're doing semantic analysis or spam detection, that's probably would have been a better example to put this slide because semantic analysis I haven't defined. But anyway, so it's something that has this complexity of data, right? And this is the beauty of statistical programming. It gives you the ability to generalize this huge dimension into an approximation, and it allows us to do machine-based logic on things that are non-machine entities, right? So things like sentences, which are incredibly complex data structures. We are now able to do some of that logic that was shown on the previous slide. So I think, in my opinion, how I would define natural would be this. It's imprecise, probabilistic, vague, non-deterministic, it's fluid, statistical, it's not one thing. And that's kind of the point. It's very unfamiliar in terms of how we've traditionally programmed things. And that's what I've kind of included is two images here. So on the left you have quantum mechanics, where you're collapsing that wave function, that ambiguous weird thing that is not one thing to one thing. And I kind of see natural language processing as a very similar thing. You're kind of collapsing this ambiguity in a way that allows you to do machine-based operations. And the metaphor goes so much further than this. If you're real geeks, have much more like Hamiltonian operators, that it gets in. But anyway, so the point is, this is not naturalist. The wave function is a structure. And that's pretty much